Hello, everyone. Welcome to Voiceover Casting Corner.
Happy Friday.
Yes, it is Friday morning. Hopefully everybody's got some relaxing weekend plans, especially before, holidays
Before
and
the
stuff.
holiday rush, yeah.
Everything gets crazy. So, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I see we've got quite a few people live with us, so that's awesome. And I'm sure more will watch the replay later on. So, today we are going to talk about representation and direct marketing. We just kind of wanted to talk about, we get a lot of questions in terms of, casting directors who have internal rosters and how that works with representation. And what if you have an agent or don't have an agent? What are the pros and cons to having an agent versus direct marketing? And just like anything, there are pros and cons to both.
Right.
So,
that's part of what makes voiceover so cool is there are so many options. There are so many opportunities, both with your agents that they can get you, but also stuff you can do on your own. So you're not just waiting for somebody to give you an audition. There's lots of room out there for you to do some legwork too. So.
And we see successful people doing it either a combination of those two or one or the other. That's really the cool thing is like, I know a lot of people who work strictly through their agents or maybe just one agent. Or I know people who work full-time in voiceover who do it all directly. It's like they don't have representation for whatever reason. So, there's pros and cons to both. And, if you can figure out kind of that, how to get the best of both worlds.
What works best for you.
That's the way to do it. Yeah. So let's talk about just some of the pros, the plus side of having representation. And when we say representation, we are talking agents and managers, people who are going to represent you.
People who make a commission when you book a job.
Exactly. And if you watched our red flags episode, you'll know that there are sometimes red flags. Your agent should only be making a commission when you book a job. There shouldn't be any monthly fees or anything like that associated with your agent. So legit agents is what we're talking about. Legit representation, not websites where you pay a fee to get auditions and things like that. So obviously the first thing, and Catherine already kind of mentioned this, is getting opportunities, getting opportunities that you may not see elsewhere, whether it's they have a connection with a casting director, a connection directly with a producer. There are some producers who they love a certain agent, and so they bring all of their projects to that agent, and that agent just pulls from their people, and one of their people is going to book the job, so it's like there are opportunities like that as well. That aren't as widespread.
Or if you want to do animation, you're probably not going to find that up on LA Casting or, any of those websites. Those go directly usually through the agencies. So certain things like that you can't really audition for unless you've got an agent or a manager that can get that copy for you.
And there are some casting directors out there who will only work through agents. They don't want to work with talent directly for whatever reason, and so that ends up being a thing too, where it's like to get on the radar of certain casting houses, you have to do that through your agent. So. Agents will also help you with negotiations, figuring out rates and terms, whether that's
reading those contracts.
And whether that's union or non-union, it's like you need to have somebody, or it's good to have somebody on your side to help.
Yeah, they're going to fight for you. Make sure you get paid. Make sure you get paid something reasonable.
Yep. And they know what to look out for. It's like they have seen all of the things come through in contracts. Some of the wording that kind of sneaks in there that they can, get the producers to change. So it's good to have that person on your side to do those negotiations and not have to do all that on your own. I know as far as direct marketing goes, a lot of people struggle with the rates. What's a fair rate? I'm constantly seeing questions of like, what should I ask for this? What should my rate be for this? And of course, we give you resources. The GBAA rate guide is amazing. That has become industry standard. So it's like looking at something like that. But sometimes there are things that are in between a couple categories, or you're like, oh, it's different because, the volume of work. So it's like you want to put together a package rate as opposed to a per spot rate, things like that. And, representation obviously can help with that. It can be a little more challenging, when you're on your own with that.
Yeah,
don't second guess yourself. It's just what people do.
And then kind of along with that, if there is a payment issue, if you haven't been paid, if something goes wonky that way, your agent will be there again to fight for you, to make sure you're getting that money, that it's you're getting what you were owed, that they didn't shortchange you in some way.
Yeah.
So again, it's nice having someone in your corner that knows what to do, knows how to get that stuff done, and can help you out, make sure you don't get taken advantage of.
And that goes for union and non-union. Again, it's like even on SAG jobs, sometimes they have to fight to get payment on time.
Yeah.
It's like I've heard of projects where it's like 90 days goes by, 6 months goes by, and they still haven't received a payment. So it's like your agent then can also talk to the union, and they will do all of that stuff on your behalf.
Exactly.
And then of course, with representation, you also can get pitched. They will send your materials to people. They will pitch you. It's like when we're getting submissions on our projects, most of the agents, a lot of them will send us an email and be like, hey, I submitted so-and-so on this, and they're perfect for it. It's like they just give that little extra pitch. And honestly, it does make us pay attention. Like, okay, they called this person out in an email specifically. I need to listen to this audition. It does make us pay a little bit more attention. So it's good to have, somebody on your team like that.
Exactly. So those are some pluses for representation. So now let's discuss some of the pluses for doing it yourself, that direct marketing where you're doing most of the work here. And one of those is the opportunity to create more opportunities for yourself. You're not just locked into what your agent gets and sends to you. You're able to work with different casting houses all over the country, maybe different clients you're just reaching out to directly, and sometimes even recording studios. People can book jobs, hitting them up and getting on their roster. If they need something last minute, you can record it for them, a scratch track or something like that. So a lot of that legwork you can do on your own just by submitting, reaching out to people, seeing if they're interested in hearing you and your demo and what you have to offer. And then, they reach out to you when they've got a project they want to hear you on. And so it can be a great way to get opportunities that you don't always get through other traditional channels.
Yeah, putting yourself out there is such a great way to get opportunities, because if you're just relying on your agent to get you out there, there are going to be some projects where it's like they're supposed to submit their top 5. And what if you're not in their top 5 for that project? Then it's like you're not even getting out of your agency. So
and some of these agencies, they're so big, it's easy to get lost. If you're not booking all the time, it's easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle. And so maybe you're not getting as many auditions as you used to, and so this is a good way to kind of supplement that too. And so you're kind of doing your own legwork and not just waiting around for someone to give you a job.
Yep, absolutely. And, by having direct contact like that too, whether it's with casting directors, producers, studios, anything like that, having that direct contact, you are also building relationships. And relationships are such a huge part of this industry. Like for us, it's like if we're between 2 people to submit to a client, I think Catherine does the same thing, where it's like, if we're between 2 people, we're going to go with the person that we know.
Yeah.
Versus the person whose audition was great, but we don't necessarily know what they're like in a session. We haven't worked with them. It's like we're gonna go with people that we know, that we have worked with. And that's something that clients have complimented us on. They're like, oh, I love going to you because not only do you bring us great auditions, but then we get the person in the session. They're easy to work with. They're directable. It's like all of the personality things that come with working with somebody. It is a collaboration. And over the years, I'm happy to say we've really only had like 4 or 5 incidences where a talent was difficult to work with, and the client came to us after and was like, that session was not amazing.
And we remember those things.
And we remember those people, and we don't work with those people anymore. So the relationships are such a huge thing in this industry, and networking, and
there's so much about who you know, and so many people can tell you stories. Oh, I got this job because my buddy needed something, or I had worked this job, or I even auditioned for something. I wasn't quite right for that, but they liked what I did, and so when this next project came around, they hired me because they liked what I had done in the past.
Yeah. I even remember, I think it was Nickelodeon, I believe. But somebody auditioned multiple times for this Nickelodeon show. And it's like, they kept wanting him to audition because they were like, we love your stuff. And eventually they got to the point where they're like, we wrote a role for you. Like, we made a character for you, because so far nothing has quite fit, but they loved what he was doing. So it's like,
so you never know where things are going to lead to, or where things are going to come from. So it's always good to always put your best foot forward and always make a good impression, because that could come back to you later. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you get that chance to control a little bit who you work with. It's like, if you're direct marketing, you can target people that you've always wanted to work with. You can target specific work. It's like, oh, medical narration is my thing. Like, you can target those companies. It's like, you have a little bit more control over that. Agents and managers, even, managers on a smaller scale, but agents are dealing with so many people. They can't necessarily seek out all of those opportunities for you. Managers may do a little bit more of that, but direct marketing is gonna get your foot in with the people and the companies that you really want to target.
Exactly. And then we kind of had already mentioned this, but casting directors are a great resource for some of this direct marketing type stuff, because they get all kinds of projects from all over, depending on where they're located. They may work with certain regional agents or managers, and just getting on their list, because not everything they get goes out to an agent or manager. If they do, like Kelly was saying earlier, sometimes agents can only submit their top 5. So this would be another kind of way for you to kind of get in the back door. You weren't your agent's top 5, but we still get to listen to you because you submitted directly through us. It can be a great advantage that way too, because you might be getting more opportunities than what you get through your agent. Because we may think of you for things that maybe your agent doesn't, or, that your agent didn't get, or, again, maybe your agent can only submit to so many people, and maybe you were number 11 on that list of 10. So you just missed the mark. But, and submit to all, it doesn't have to just be through us, although we love getting people's stuff, but make sure you submit to any casting house out there. See what their process is like, if they've got an internal roster or not. It never hurts to ask. And if they do, it's just one more opportunity for you. So make sure you reach out, make those connections that way too. Always good.
Absolutely. It's like knowing, again, building those relationships with casting directors is so, so important. And, we do have an internal roster, so feel free to send your stuff to us. Not every casting director does, but reach out. It does not hurt to reach out. And if you have an agent and they're like, we only work with agents, then you can be like, okay, great. You can reach me through so-and-so and give them your agent's information. But like Catherine was saying, it's like, we will think of people for things that their agent doesn't think of them for. Sometimes actors sort of get pigeonholed and their agents really see them for like one main thing. Maybe it's something that they've booked or something that they book frequently. And sometimes they don't necessarily see as much range as we do. So, it's like, you might come to top of mind for us, but not necessarily for your agent. And sometimes that's also just relationships. It's like, if some people have closer relationships with their agents, they're top of mind for their agents. And if you're not that person, they may not think of you. So, it's building those relationships. But casting directors, for sure, it's a great resource, because if you get it from your agent and casting, great. You've got 2 opportunities. It's like, take those when you can.
Exactly. And then the best part about direct marketing is you get to keep all the money you make. You don't have to share it with an agent or a manager. You did all the legwork. You're the one that booked the job. They didn't help you. You did it yourself. So there's no commission that you have to pay out to anybody. So
yeah. And I will add that there are a couple of agencies that I know of out there who have a clause in their contract that says they get commission on any voiceover work you do, meaning whether you book that through a different agent, through your manager, or through direct marketing, they want
that sounds like a red flag to me.
So watch out for that, because that is not the norm.
No.
You know, if you choose to give your agent commission on something that you book, fine. But if they start coming after you for it, watch out.
Especially if they didn't help at all in the process.
Not okay. Yeah. They don't just get a cut of everything that you make. They get paid for the opportunities they get you and you book. So watch out for that, because it's a thing that I've seen recently from reputable agents, which is kind of the crazy part. So just be aware.
Exactly.
All right. Questions. Should we move into questions, Catherine?
Sure.
So I know we did have one that came in before. So yeah, so this one's specific to VoiceCaster. So let's answer that one. So what do I do if I get an audition from you, VoiceCaster, and from my agent? That is a fantastic question. And I'm going to also add in, what if you get it from us but not your agent?
Mm-hmm.
So if you get it from us and your agent, submit to both. Because I would rather, we obviously sent it to you for a reason. We're not we don't just have a list where we send out blindly. Like, we painstakingly go through our roster,
person by person,
and make sure we are sending it to only the people we want to read on it, right? So, if you get it from us and you get it from your agent, submit to both. Because again, if your agent narrows it down and is only sending their top 5 or their top 10, and you're not in that list, we want to make sure that you are heard. We want to make sure that we get your audition. So please send it to us. And then on the other side, if you get something from us and not from your agent, again, it goes back to that direct marketing. Do you have to put it through your agent? Absolutely not. If you book the job and you want to pay them a commission out of your fee, that's up to you. But you don't have to. You can keep your money. But there is confidentiality in that. So sometimes we will send out projects to individual people that we do not send to the agents and managers for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's confidentiality. Sometimes it's we're literally sending 5 people on the project. So why do I need hundreds of submissions when I know the people I want to hear on it? So it's one of those things where don't just share everything with your agent. If you get an audition through direct marketing, through casting directors directly, us or anyone else, these things are confidential. So don't just blindly forward this and be like, hey, I'm auditioning for this. Because then, it's not that the agents aren't going to keep it confidential, but then they're going to try to submit a bunch of people. And it's like, well, no, we have a very select few that we would need on this one.
Yeah. And if you're ever unsure, don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah.
We're happy to let you know, yes or no.
Especially with the big confidential things, right? You have to be careful just blindly forwarding everything from anybody.
Exactly.
And you don't have to, it's like, if it didn't come through an agent, don't feel like you have that obligation. But if you want to put it through your agent, reach out, it's always ask us. And we'll at least be able to let you know, it's your judgment. Like, yes, there is an agent fee on this, so totally fine. Or no, there isn't an agent fee on this. So out of the $1,000 fee, if your agent wants 20%, you're going to get $800. They're going to get $200. Are you okay with that? Even though that didn't technically come from them, so it's like just things to kind of think about. Always reach out to us if you have any questions. Don't hesitate. Like I said, we are not just sending out emails to hundreds and hundreds of people on every project. So it's like we we do answer questions. If you have a question about the script or something on the project, email us.
Feel free to ask.
Not a problem at all. Always reach out. All right, let's go through some of the comments here. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop it in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Doesn't matter. We see them all. Hi, Annie. Hi, Sonia. Mark. All right, so let's pull this one up. So Sonia said, I have noticed that the top agencies only take new clients via referrals, which is very uncomfortable asking from other VO people. Suggestions. What about coaches? What about people you've trained with? Whoever produced your demo, casting directors that you know well, things like that. So a lot of times referral doesn't necessarily mean that person has to reach out on your behalf. It's you can reach out and say, hey, I was referred by this person, so it is one of those things where, it's they want you to drop names. They want to know that you have some of the connections, that you've had the training, that people who are in the industry and know people who are working and, things like that. So, you can drop names in your email. Just make sure that you've talked to those people whose names you drop.
Because they probably will follow up.
This happened probably a year ago now, but a manager reached out to me and was like, hey, so-and-so listed you as one of the top 3 casting directors who loves them. And I was like, who's like, I never, I don't recognize that name at all. So it's not somebody who ever trained with me or, and then I looked back through some old auditions. I don't think I've ever heard an audition from them. And he's like, well, let me forward you their email. And sure enough, it was like, casting directors who love me, Kelly Moshinsky. And I was like, and I was honest with the manager. I was like, I don't know who that is. Like, I can't vouch for that person. I have no idea who that is. So, they will reach out. So think of it that way as well. I know a lot of times it's like you're hesitant to ask somebody to submit your demo on your behalf to their agent. But, it is a very common thing. So, I know it might be uncomfortable for you, but it is a common thing. And depending on the person, they might be all about it. And some people might just not have the relationship with their agent to want to do that. So
it never hurts to ask.
Exactly. And then you can also, like I said, just put names in the email. As long as those people know that you are putting their name in the email, then the agents will reach out if they want to talk to people about you. We get contacted all the time about, hey, so-and-so submitted to us. What do you think? But I usually know those people. I've really only had one person be like, casting directors who love me, and I have no idea. Annie, yeah, blows my mind that people can be so difficult to work with. Me too. Sonia, I'm wondering if maybe you don't work with my agent since I have only received direct from you. That very well could be. We are selective in the agents that we work with for a variety of reasons. So yeah, that could be the case. I mean, you're welcome to reach out to me and we can reconfirm as well. If you want to let me know who your agent is, we can reconfirm if they're somebody who's on our regular list or not. Let's see.
Annie's kind of good.
Annie.
Yes.
Do you ever cast jobs in French? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Not all the time, but
and French Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
English and Spanish.
Yep, we definitely do.
That's
it's
probably the next one after Spanish. French is probably the next most common foreign language.
Yeah, because we because Canada, so
or Portuguese is another big one.
And then yeah. But yes, we definitely cast French. It's not something that we have every month, but several times a year.
So yeah, if you do speak French, feel free. If you have a French demo, send that along as well. So yeah, it's always good to have that stuff on file.
Even just some sort of a sample of you speaking in French, even if you don't have a full demo or it's not on your demo or whatever. Yeah, send us something so that we know that you're fluent. And Danielle had the same question. Yep, great.
Yep, we do French.
good. Yeah, I know that is a language that I feel like I'm seeing a lot more, as far as people reaching out who are fluent in French and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we've
So.
cast over the years all kinds of weird, like not as common, we've done some Scandinavian stuff. We've done just, even some African languages, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
any foreign language, if you're fluent in it, let us know, even if it doesn't come up too often. Yep. It's always nice to know those people when it does come around. Because sometimes we're like, I don't know who speaks this. And if you do, you'll be getting that audition from us for sure.
Yep. Yeah, definitely let us know any of that kind of stuff. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any. Feel free if you guys have any questions to drop them in there.
Looks like we've got one. Carrier Kari.
Oh, right there. Excellent. So, where is a great place to start to begin direct marketing, and what info would you suggest we include in those inquiries? A reel, a resume? So, great question. So, first of all, to start in direct marketing, it's look at casting directors. The Voiceover Resource Guide
that's where I would start.
A great resource. I mean, they have everything in there. It's like they have all of the casting directors. The only thing I am going to say about that is, as you start sending your reel to casting directors, be very cautious when they come back and say, you need more training, you need a new demo, here's our information. There are a few people that I have found over the years that are listed in like the Voiceover Resource Guide and other places as casting directors. They might cast something here and there, but they're primarily doing demos and classes and things like that. So just be aware of that. Because if they're telling you that you need all new materials, it's kind of slimy. So just be cautious of that. Don't get paranoid like, oh, maybe my demo's not good enough, or maybe I do need more training.
I'm just trying to sell you something.
They're trying to sell you something. So any of this direct marketing, keep that in mind. That is a thing that happens, and don't get taken advantage of. So yeah, the legit casting directors are just going to take your reel and either add you to their roster or not, if they're interested. So, so the Voiceover Resource Guide is great because it has a list of casting directors. It also has a list of studios. So you can also be reaching out to the studios and let them know that you're available if they need scratch tracks and, things like that. So often they end up having, their engineers or interns or assistants or whoever at the studio doing these scratch tracks and things. So it's like, it's great to have actors on hand, who could do that sort of thing.
And you never know where that could lead. They could end up liking your scratch track and say, oh, let's hire this person for the job.
Yep.
You never know.
Yeah. And you can look up production companies. It's like if you do Google search for medical narration production companies, you're going to find a whole list of them, so it's like you can start reaching out to those kinds of people as well. Kind of figuring out what you're interested in and doing a lot of that, a lot of corporate narration, industrial narration, explainer videos, medical narration, all that kind of stuff. A lot of that is direct. You're not going to see a lot of that through agents and managers. So, and then yes, as far as what to send, short little, I'm going to say cover letter, but it's an email. So a short little email with your demo attached. If, and whatever relevant demo, if you're reaching out to a medical narration company, you're probably not going to send a commercial demo. You're probably going to send your narration demo. So be specific. You don't even have to worry about a resume or anything like that unless they ask. If you want to also provide your website for more resources, great. But otherwise, keep it super short, offering your services, and let them know that your demo is attached, and attach your demo as an MP3. And then it's just easy to click on and keep on file if they want to.
All kinds of questions now.
Great. All right. So I have a VA, so virtual assistant. How do you feel about my VA reaching out on my behalf to you or other casting directors? That's fine. It's we have people do that, and that's totally fine. Like I have a few people who, when I check their avails, their assistant chimes in. That's not a problem. As long as, it's they're helping you maybe on your email versus, we have to remember to include your email and your assistant's email, then that gets a little more complicated. But that's not a problem at all. All right. And let's see.
Question about accents.
What about accents? Would you want a recording
demo? You have
demo?
an accent demo? You can send that to us.
Yeah. Especially if it's something natural for
Yeah.
you, native, something where you're
commercial
from there.
casting. So if you're putting on an accent that's not natural to you, we're probably not going to come to you for that stuff unless, it's great for animation and audiobooks and that kind of stuff. But, we try to cast authentic voices primarily for our commercial stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. Annie, any chance we could share? I can't share that publicly.
Well, here's the thing too, like people have different opinions of agents. There's agents that we find to be difficult, that the people they're representing love them, and so each person's going to have their own take. Some people you're just going to click with, and others you might not. And a lot of that's just personal preference or personalities that work together well. So someone that we don't like, you might love, and vice versa. We might love somebody, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
And it might be that way too with casting directors versus agents, where it's like we have a good relationship with a couple different agents who another casting director may not be as close to, so it's like, yeah.
I think that's a big part of it too. When you're looking for agents, you want to find somebody that you work well with and that you can have a good rapport with, and if it's somebody that you're afraid to talk to, maybe that's not the agent for you.
Somebody who calls you and yells at you for asking questions, that's a problem. Yeah. True story. Yeah, no. And Annie, feel free to reach out to us if there are agents that you're thinking of specifically and that you have questions about, or if you're just looking for some agent recommendations, things like that. Reach out. We're happy to share that kind of stuff and help. That's what we're here for. It's like I always say, like this industry is such an amazing community, and it's all about collaboration, and it's like we can't do our job without all of you. So, it's like we all have to work together, casting, talent, agents, manager, it's like we are all working toward the same goal. So we are happy to share as much information as we can, which is why we do this every month, because we want you guys to be able to get answers to any questions you have. Let's see. Do you get auditions for women?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
I feel like we had something like that recently.
For
sure.
Yep, for sure. And then, excellent. I think that's all the questions that I'm seeing so far. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. But yeah, I understand, I'll also talk just for a second here about as far as finding representation. I know that can be the hardest thing for people, especially the major markets. Finding an agent in Los Angeles or New York is probably the hardest thing to do. I've known a lot of people who have worked full-time in voiceover doing direct marketing, working with casting directors, producers directly, and still have a hard time getting representation. Why? I have no idea. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of a crazy thing. But it is a thing that happens, and you can't try to put that much on having an agent. Yes, it's great to have an agent, but don't make it like a status symbol. You know, if you're doing what you love and you're making money doing what you love, that's all that matters. Whether you have the top agent in Los Angeles, whoever that is, it doesn't matter, you know? So there's my inspiration for the day, that you can do it and you can be successful without having, you know, that top agent.
There are people that have agents and then suddenly they've got all this pressure because if they're not booking, the agent's going to drop them. So, I got to, and they're always stressing about, I got to book something. I got to book something. Yeah. So sometimes there is more freedom without having that on you. You can just do it on your own.
I've also seen people leave big agencies to go to smaller agencies because they get more opportunities at the smaller agencies because they're, you know, instead of being a small fish in a big pond, it's they're the big fish in the small pond, you know. So it's like, also don't discredit some of the smaller agencies. Like some of those are our favorite, honestly. You know, it's like they know their talent better. They don't have rosters of 400 people that you're going to get lost in. You know, so it's like, try not to discredit any of that kind of stuff too. And regional agents, there's nothing wrong with regional agents. In fact, I have a few of them, you know, on our main breakdown list, you know, where we send them LA specific stuff even. And that's just because they're great to work with and they have great talent and they have some talent who is in LA, but they can't get an LA agent for whatever reason. Which sometimes is just crazy to me. Like we have a couple people that we work with directly who have in previous years, and including now, have made high 5 figures and even 6 figures directly with us and still can't get an agent. Like making 6 figures in voiceover through one casting house, who knows what else they're doing, you know, and they still can't get an agent or they can't get a bigger agent. They've been trying to get a bigger agency to take them on because they're with a small one, you know, things like that. And it's like, there's no rhyme or reason for it. You know, sometimes it's just the luck of the draw when you submit.
Sometimes you see actors with agents and you're like, how on earth did they get signed?
Yeah. Yeah, that comes into play, I feel like, when it's like somebody randomly got cast in like this big video game, you know, it's like because they knew
they've got 1 million followers on Instagram or something.
Yeah. And then they sign with a big agent and it's like, wait, what? Who is this person? Have they ever had any training? No. All right.
Who knows?
Ellen, great question. So how does one find a regional agent? So again, if you go to Voiceover Resource Guide, they have tons of agents listed in there and you can find them in different locations. So of course there's New York, LA, there's Chicago, there's Atlanta, there's Seattle, Denver. I'm going to forget some, of course, but like there's Minneapolis. There are agents all over the country and you can have an agent in every like city or region. Obviously look at contracts. There are a couple of Minneapolis agents who, you know, they're like, we cover 4 states. And it's like, well, if that were California and other things, that might be a problem. But if you're talking about, you know, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, you know, it's like, probably you're fine if they cover you in those 4 states. So yeah, it's just, you know, get yourself out there and submit to agents in different regions. And if you need any, you know, advice on any of that, you know, let us know. It's like we can help and guide you. Any other? Oh, thank you, Annie. She said, you two are great. Thank you so much for this. And Sonia said, thank you for everything and your belief in us. Yeah, I mean, you're obviously here. I mean, you're watching this and listening to us and spending your morning with us for a reason. You know, we wanna help out. You know, any information that we can give you guys is gonna just make you stronger as individuals, as actors. And you know, it's like if we can help you in your career, ultimately, I mean, that comes back at us as well. You know, it's like the more information we can give you about what we do and what we're looking for in auditions,
going to make you better.
It's going to also make your auditions stronger, which is better for us to submit to our client. It's like it really is all about collaboration. And overall in the voiceover industry, I think that's a huge part of this community. And that's why we started doing this, because we want to give back to our community. It's like we want to hang out with you guys.
We want to be accessible. And
yeah, I feel like so often it's the same thing with agents, where it's like people, actors put agents on this pedestal. They do the same thing with casting directors, and it's like, none of us can do our job without you. So we're on your side.
Exactly. We want you to book the job.
Yes, we want you to sound good. We want you to succeed. If you're booking jobs with us, that's great for us too. It's like,
good for the client. Everyone's happy.
Exactly. Everybody's happy. All right. Excellent. Lots of thank yous. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah.
So amazing. I love doing these. I love getting to chat with everybody. And as always, if you guys have questions, reach out to us, and we'll be back. Oh, I told myself I was going to remember when the next one was. December 16th?
That sounds right.
Is that what it is?
Monday.
Okay. Yes, December 16th. Will be our next one, and probably the last one for the year. And we're just going to kind of do a wrap up, kind of wrapping up 2024, and maybe give you some things to get you moving into 2025.
Some New Year's resolutions.
Yep. Things to constantly be working on, be aiming towards, all of that. So feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions.
And I was thinking too, if you guys have any topics you'd like us to discuss, let us know that too. Anything you'd like us to,
please do. Yes.
More in depth on.
Yeah, we are constantly, like, we're always thinking, okay, well, what are we going to talk about next month? And, a lot of times it's like, okay, well, what kind of questions haven't we been asked a lot lately? So, that kind of stuff is where we're kind of pulling from, assuming that the questions that we're getting are things that people, want to hear us talk about and get those things cleared. So yeah, feel free to let us know any topics, any questions, anything like that. We want to help.
Exactly.
All right. So we will see you hopefully December 16th.
That's right.
Hopefully you can join us live. And if not, catch the replay.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. That's coming up.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a good holiday.
Yeah. All right. We will see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.